Combat sports fans, welcome to another great edition of Strong Style. I'm your host, Jeremy, the Impact York. Welcome back to the show. I know we've been a little erratic. I'll be honest, got a little sick. Been all over the place. You guys know, been covering a lot more local stuff lately. Gearing up for some other stuff here at Impact Media. So first off, thanks for sticking with us. And second off, I apologize. I am sorry that I have not been more consistent with this show, but I promise you, we're going to do better. We're going to do better. Quick note: UFC and PFL talk back next week. I promise you. Also next week, this show will be a lot earlier in the week than on a Friday. Promise you. Other than that, I believe the next WWE show that myself and Daniel Snyder will do this coming up week, I believe, is our 50th show. It's going to be really big. Tune in for that. And we welcome all your fan questions. We will answer any appropriate question that you send in for our 50th show. So be sure to send all those. You can literally ask us anything. I don't care. It doesn't even have to be about wrestling. It doesn't have to be about WWE. Ask if I've read one of these books behind me. It's fine. The answer is probably yes. I say probably because I would have to actually turn around and look at which. Yeah, good chance I've read at least one or two. But we are going to talk a lot of fun stuff tonight. And obviously, I'm going to talk some NXT. I'm going to talk some AEW. I'm going to talk some TNA. And I'm going to, I'm going to start local. I'm just going to start local, and then we'll finish up with all that. The other note, starting soon, because I got to get it ironed out where I can actually watch the show. We are adding NWA coverage to this show. So this show on a regular basis, we'll talk UFC, we'll talk PFL, bare knuckle. We are going to talk NWA. We're going to talk NXT. We're going to talk AEW. We're going to talk TNA. I'm sure I missed something. We're going to talk whatever local shows I happen to be around. So in this case, we're going to talk 12 gauge, and we're going to talk bullpen pro wrestling. So without further ado, everybody always asks, what show did you go to? Well, follow along on social media. The Impact 99, we'll find this guy. Jeremy York, we'll find this guy. Impact Media, we'll find this and this. Find any of my co-hosts. Ask people. Find me at shows. I am not that hard to follow. If you will just simply do that, you will see where I'm at. This week, it's at the Temple Rec Center in Temple, Georgia, Bullpen Pro Wrestling. The doors will open at 6:30. Bell time at 7:30. You can call or text for tickets. You can also just go there and buy them. I'm gonna start there, and then I'll talk about the 12 gauge show that I was at this weekend, because this show, we are going to see a 6-man tag where we're going to see the Wonder Boys, which is Aaron and Ethan Dallas, a fantastic young chap, against another young guy that is new to bullpen but should not be new to the area. You guys should know who this guy is, Jonathan Champion. That is a killer team, by the way. They're going to face Kane Knowles with Brad Lynch and the tandem of Lethal Gaines, otherwise known as Chris Gaines. He's been on this show. And that guy, Lamar Phillips. That is a crazy 6-man tag. There is another 6-man tag that is going to be JT Paradox, who is just crushing the local scene. Just crushing everywhere he goes. Kid's like barely 20. Think he's 18. And he's crushing it everywhere he goes. And he's been all over. It's not just in this area. He's teaming up with Xavier Cross, who is a giant. He is a giant. I think he's real young too, but he is a massive human being. And they were going to have J Rod, who is a big time, long time veteran stalwart, especially in the West Georgia area. But apparently his groin injury has been re-aggravated. It's why he missed the last show. He's not going to be at this one. I didn't see the entire video Bull posted about it, but I did see that Bull said he's got somebody in mind. I will tell you right now, it's not this guy. It is not. It is not Jeremy. It is not the Impact. It is not my buddy El Impacto. It is none of those people. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. It really isn't. I know in the wrestling business when people say it's really not. It's really not. It's really not. It is. Or it really is. It really is. It really is. It's not. I promise you, I'm not that person. I'm not lying. It is not me. Not me at all. But JT Paradox and Xavier Cross plus a mystery partner. Always love mystery partners. Are going to face Zach Buchanan, Cody Wyndham, and Rob Adonis. That's a tandem. If those three can get along long enough, they'll win. If they can get along long enough. The Zach and Cody have already figured out. Not only they live in the sweet life, but Zach and Cody have already figured out that they can't get along very well. You throw in Rob Adonis, who could give two crap about if they get along or not. He just wants to win the match. It's a powder keg, and both of them are holding Roman candles. That one could explode. That could be a lot of fun. We are going to get Alexander Lincoln versus Jacob Ashworth. Sorry, I was looking at something else on the screen. We are going to get the return of BK Bennett. He cracked some ribs a handful of shows ago. He's missed some other shows. He was supposed to be at a couple other ones that I went to, but BK is on the mend. I believe he's going to be at this one. He is going to be against, where'd it go? Lost it there for a second. It is, there it is. There's Trey Jordan. Sorry, Trey. Very sorry. Trey Jordan, BK Bennett, these two have been just squashing people en route to beef up their rivalry. I feel like it's going to come to a head very soon. But the other two matches, the ones I have yet to mention, I think have the possibility to steal the show. Once again, I didn't see Bull's videos about this later in the week like this, but I think he'll agree. Dante Diamond versus Ryan Wendell for the light heavyweight championship. I guess Ryan has retrieved it from the bottom of the river. I thought for his sake, I hope he does, because Bull looked like you wanted to put him in the bottom of the river. And I'll be honest, it took me a minute to get into this rivalry. The first time I saw these two square off, it was in a flag match. It was a good flag match. Two smaller competitors, but they fight big. They fight real big. And I was thinking I wanted Dante to get the better of this rivalry until Ryan Wendell cut a promo, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I can't remember when he cut it. It's on the social media. I think it's on the Bullpen page too. Go find it. Ryan Wendell. He cut a monster promo. And he followed it up with great in-ring work to where call me a Benedict Arnold. Don't, because I'm not a traitor. But I kind of got to go with the Brit right now. That I think Ryan Wendell should be the victorious one on Saturday, tomorrow night. So I've got Wendell in that one. I think it would be spectacular if he keeps it. This is also Dante Diamond's first title opportunity, so we'll see how that goes. Either way, it's going to be a great match. I don't know if this is the main event or not, but there's a lot of backstory. I'm not going to get into the backstory here, but you have Stephen Bray, I'll be honest, Steven, I don't remember if that's your ref name or not, so I apologize. We've got a referee against another referee in Xander Warwick. Now we know, for people who don't know, let me smart you up. Xander Warwick is also wrestles a lot of places. I also know that Xander Warwick is pretty much done refereeing at this point. He's going to be full on wrestler going up. I do know that Brother Azrael, who is now known as Baracus, and now comes out under the wing and tutelage of Richard Page, did a pretty good job of flattening Warwick at the premiere show last week, to where I'm not sure what kind of shape Warwick is in going into this. So he may have done Steven a little bit of a little bit of a favor. This is his first match. This is not going to be Warwick's first match, and leave it up to Bull. That if anybody is brave enough to try to run a referee versus referee match, it's Bull Buchanan. And if anybody can make it work and make it mean as much as this does, I mean, this when these two got into it at the last show, which led to this match being created, it stole the show. It stole the thunder off a main event that should have been thunderous. And it took those two guys a handful of minutes to get the crowd back because they were so whipped into a frenzy from two referees trying to tear each other apart, but actually a third in there too, that it was nuts. Friend of the show, Albert, that goes to a lot of these or goes to shows with us sometimes, known him forever. He was looking at me and also a friend of the show, Akil, and he's like, is everybody really this into it because of two referees? And I said, absolutely. Because of the story they built. Just outstanding. Basically, it comes down to Steven was a little bit of went a little rogue on some of his calls. Not really rogue. He picked sides, and it happened to cost Bull the match. And so Bull can't do much about it because he is just the owner. So it's up to General Manager Johnny Brown, Cowboy Johnny Brown, to kind of help remedy that. And he's trying to do that here. And so we will see what happens there. I can't wait. It could be absolutely spectacular. But that's Bullpen Pro Wrestling. That is Saturday night at the Temple Rec Center in Temple, Georgia. If you're in the Atlanta area, go west, young man or young woman. Temple is exit 19. It is exit 19. And as far as where the rec center is from there, here's your GPS. That's all I can tell you. I'll be honest. I'm not sure where it is. I'm gonna have to look it up, but it's not far off the exit because majority of Temple landmarks are right off the exit. So it's somewhere right there. I will see you guys there. I'm not sure who else from Impact Media will be there, but I do know at 12 Gauge Iron and Blood in Rome, Georgia over the weekend. Had a spectacular time. I'm going to talk about another show. Premier had a show right before that too, but on Sunday, man, that Caravan of Killers. You know, we had Chris Crunk on last week. We had the Vision Orion on, and Orion said, "Oh, I'm bringing a carload of people." And I said, "All right, you're bringing a Caravan of Killers." I was right. I was right. They put people on notice at 12 Gauge. Just the opening contest, which was RDS, which is Jay Villa, Andre Reyes, and Cruz Rivera. They took on the A team, which is DRP, Space Cowboy, and Rico Bravo. And my goodness. DRP and Space Cowboy and Rico Bravo put up a valiant effort, but Villa Rivera and Reyes from RDS are a machine. The three of them, I said it in my write up at Georgia Wrestling History. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. Just incredible, just outstanding. How like they tag so much and they've been around each other so much that they don't have to look and go, hey, tag in, or I want to tag you, or do you want to tag in? No, it was a didn't matter. They knew where each other was. They were constantly helping each other, just always. It's something DRP, Space Cowboy, and Rico are gonna work on, and they weren't bad at it. Just the difference in completely knowing what your partners are doing instead of trying to set it up. And they're just they it was great. It was great. There were a handful of times that I really thought that the A team was going to pull this off, and RDS would just pull it right back, just absolutely pull it right back. Um, the second matchup was Colt Manson versus Zach Adai with Dan, the manager Carter. Dan, pretty cool guy. I finally got a chance to talk to him for a second because he played a big role in this. I missed the fact that Kyle Charisma came out and was really on his game for a minute up until a little later on. We'll get into that in a minute. But Colt Manson, man, of all the people that came from Florida that were not named Orion, Colt was my favorite. I think. Yeah, he just had a demeanor. Zach Dye comes out and he's like, Zach won't die. Zach won't die. And they get all the chants and all the people that come with them. And that was fun. Colt was not amused at all. Not amused at all. Methodically just picked Zach apart, let Zach think he had the advantage, and then just yank the rug out from under him at the end. And Manson gets your victory there. Next matchup was I refer to it as if Dexter, not from the laboratory, Dexter the serial killer, if Dexter were to fight Gambit from the X-Men, because Ronan Laveau and Christian Taylor, it was King Kong versus Godzilla, but it was more methodical, crazier character work than that. And these two honestly aren't characters; they're extensions of themselves. And they had a brutal match. It pretty much all culminated with Christian Taylor going through a table out in the merchandising area and then being drugged back to the ring and dropped like a sack of potatoes to where he actually passed out. And he never tapped out, but the ref stopped it when he couldn't answer the bell. Ronan Laveau is your winner there. And it seems like his victory, I don't know, kept the innocence of everything intact. And that's, I think that's the best way to put that. We go into intermission, which worked out pretty, you always need a little bit of a break in the middle of these. Right after that, we get the Devil, Ryan Mark, who took on newcomer and I believe his debut match, Lil J. He's a guy who's been training up at 12 gauge. Good young kid, got a good head on his shoulders. Ryan proceeded to just have his way with him. At one point, he threw him across a bunch of rows of chairs. Lil J had some good ways of fighting back, but Ryan was on a mission. And apparently, this was not a sanctioned match because right afterwards, Rocky comes out, a 12 gauge, and says, "I didn't sign that match. How'd you get that match, Ryan?" Ryan just kind of grinned and said, "Well, I'm the Devil, Ryan Mark, so do what I want to do." Okay. Well, that led to, Ryan kind of walked to the back, which is probably better that it happened that way. Let's see, when was that? I think I may get the match in the event out of order, but next matchup, Sensei Aaron Wade versus the Warden. The Warden is terrorizing the state right now. Been on one FW a good bit too. Him and Sensei had a pretty good spot too. Warden just too much and overpowered him. After this, Rocky invites the Father Son podcast, who were actually sitting next to me, and we sponsored their tickets and everything for all the amazing work that they do. and invites them into the ring to just tell everybody about their podcast and all the fun things they do. And then Chris Gaines and Ryan Mark come out of the ring. And they start kind of wanting to, let's lack of a better word here, bully the father son around a little bit. And we're gonna kind of start shoving him around a little bit. And Rocky's not clear to get in the ring, so Rocky couldn't get in the ring to help him out. But Kyle Charisma comes strolling out to the ring. Kyle Charisma, not known for his softer side, but he had appeared on the Father Son podcast just hours before all of this. And he grabs the microphone and he kind of starts taking up for at least the son. And Ryan's looking at him. He said, "Kyle, it's not your fight. Get out of the way." And he said, "Yeah, man, it's the kid, man. You can't rough up a kid. And you can't do this. And you need to just back up. I'm gonna ask you to back up." And so Ryan and Gaines start backing up. And then they attack Kyle. And they lay out Kyle. And that does it for him for the rest of the night. He has actually spent a decent amount of time in the hospital. I believe he is. If he's not out now, he should be out very soon. He'll be back in time for the next show, which will be October 18th. Their big Halloween show. Got weeks to talk about that. But shout out to Kyle Charisma for showing that you are the person we thought you are, even though you hide behind all the insults and stuff. But this new side of Kyle, I think, is gonna do the world a lot of good. So heal up there, buddy, and we'll see you at the next show. Not to be outdone, as I said, Chris Gaines stuck around and took on Troy Carter. Troy Carter is the number one contender for when the world title gets sorted out. He gets the next shot. He won the big gauntlet match, and he had a big win against Gaines in this one. And then we get the main event. The main event of Division Orion versus Chris Kronk. I make the argument that I don't know what Chris Kronk ever did to Rocky, that his first matches back after a hiatus when he had to find his motivation again were Ryan Mark, were Division Orion, and then I will tell you a little more about who he's facing next time around here in the next coming weeks. But every bit of hype that you hear about Division Orion and every bit of hype you hear about the Dark Arts Gym and that Orion is a trainer there and Vincent from The Righteous is a trainer there and Zelina Vega from SmackDown and Malachi Black or Aleister Black, whichever he wants to go for, that those are the trainers. And yeah, every bit of hype, move it up a notch. Just unreal, insane work that they put in. He took Chris Kronk to the limit. At one point, Orion had his hand raised. The match gets restarted. Then Chris Kronk gets his raised. As the write-up says, I see that as 1-1, which means we need to see this again sometime. But like I said, their next show is October 18th. I believe still in Rome. We have a lot more time before then. So we'll kind of preview that. You guys are going to know a lot of the cast of characters from that one. Not just the people I just mentioned there, but there's some big time Georgia names headed into that one. And then also, Premier had a show. See if we can find it. There it is, because we cannot forget some of these here. All right. Premier All-Star Wrestling had a show Saturday night at the Livestock Pavilion in Buchanan. My goodness, there's nobody that tells stories like Premier, and you have the top-notch talent they bring in, and it's one of the most must-see shows. 12 Gauge is great. Premier is great. Bullpen, Deep South, all those. We need to get out Deep South again soon. But this one opens up with Shawn Nelson versus Aiden Andrews. These two tore it up. absolutely tore it up. Sean Nelson gets the pinfall win in this one. If you guys want to hear more about these, check out social media, Georgia Wrestling History. Read my review of it. It will make you feel like you're sitting right there next to me. Later on, Sean Nelson called his shot and said at the next show he wants a piece of the title. I think he's more than earned that. And GM Jason Boyd gave it to him, so we're looking forward to that at the next show, which is next week, by the way. We will talk about it more next week. Luke Da Silva and Eddie Hendricks ended up going to a draw because all four shoulders were counted out at the same time, which was tough because at times you thought you could find a winner in this, and other times, my goodness, it was just two wildebeests fighting over, patch of grass out in the wilderness. It was crazy. Two of the strongest guys in Premier just battling, throwing each other all over the place. Incredible match. Newcomer Logan Young took on Christian Pierce. This one went back and forth pretty good. Christian Pierce ends up with the pinfall. I think Logan Young got a little ahead of himself and took a few risks that didn't pay off, and Christian Pierce were able to take it from him. Pat Roach with Pastor Donald Jakes. Shout out to the good pastor, pro wrestling minister there, if you will. They took on national heavyweight champ of the NWA, Mims. If you're a fan of throwback NWA action, this was, to me, it was my favorite match of the entire card. It reminded me of watching old school NWA and what the NWA is about. It still is about. This was just amazing. The Mims ends up with a victory. Kind of thought it would have been nice. Pat Roach pick it up. But besides that, the side attraction was when Donald Jakes decided to try to purify and cleanse the twins, as they're known at ringside, two fans that tend to get after the bad guys. And at one point, he got the bright idea to sprinkle them with holy water. And I don't know if you've ever seen what happens if you throw water at people that don't want water on them. It was everything that security could do to keep them off of the good pastor. I'm surprised he escaped that night. I really thought it was going to take more than the security to get that, but Jake survived. He lived to fight another day, and who knows, you might see him on here one day. Then there was the Richard Page Special Challenge, and that was the match I talked about a minute ago. Xander Warwick versus Baraka, who is the former Brother Azrael. Kind of a rebranding. I like it. He seems to be more ruthless than he was, and this one ended up, they had to call for the bell because Xander was about as flat as a tortilla, and enough to where something you don't normally see in wrestling. His parents got in the ring to check on him. Him and his dad used to run a wrestling organization that up until recently, his mom's been around it. They know. But for them to get in the ring, told you how serious it really was. I heard he may have some cracked ribs, bruised sternum, that kind of thing. We'll see how that impacts his match this weekend. But he took like 5 pile drivers. Yeah, that can't be good. Then we get into I don't even know if it was organized, the Absolute Chaos match. By the time I counted, there was about 16 people involved in this match. All of them came out through regular entrances. Nobody ran from the back. Let's try to count them real quick. We had Lethal Gain, the trio title. That was Lamar Phillips, Chris Gaines, Ryan Marks. They had Richard Page with them. You had Ace Taven, Frankie Valentine, who were the tag team champions, and Justin McKenzie. And, of course, they had Tweety and Amy Haven out there. Then we get the Wonder Boys, which is Aaron and Ethan Dallas, and OXP, also from Cobra Kai. So that's 12. So then we count a referee, 13, and I feel like, and if we add security, that's 15. So up to 15 people are at ringside just for this match. It was a loaded fracas, to quote myself. Ultimately, though, in a winner take all, it is Lethal Games who now has all 5 belts. And after the show, there's a video of Richard Page throwing those tag titles into the trash can and saying the trios titles are the only ones that matter. I've yet to hear anything from Premier as to how serious that is going to be dealt with, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see moving forward how it goes there. Congratulations to Lethal Games. In the main event, Pro Wrestling's Messiah, Alexander Lev, and the wrestling sensation AJ Black took on Madman Mason and Stevie Ray Frost, the reigning, defending, undisputed Premier Heavyweight Champion, in a 15-foot high steel cage match. I know you guys have seen the pictures by now of Lev. Lev got busted open before the match started. AJ Black slid the ring. As Lev tried to get in the ring, he got hit twice by the cage door on the outside by Mason, who swung it from the inside. And the next time he surfaced, he was just covered in as much blood as I have seen in a match in a long, long time. Enough to where we were a little worried that he might not make it into the match. He did, and ultimately was a lot of the reason why this went in the favor of himself and his little brother, as he calls him, AJ Black. And this will set up AJ Black versus Madman Mason for Mason's title in the near future. As I said, they've got a show coming up next week. We will talk about that one next week. Let's go TNA, because there's not much in TNA that I really want to talk about. Frankie Kazarian versus Macklin. This, to me, you need to keep building Macklin, and he either needs to be the one to take the title off of Trick so that an NXT guy doesn't have a TNA title. But if anybody can build Macklin even more than he is, Eric Young did a good job. Now it's Frankie's turn. You make Macklin into the face of that company and hope he doesn't join his wife in AEW. Looks like Joe Hendry and Eric Young are going to be in a program at least till Hendry's contract runs out, which is in the very near future, so that he can sign with NXT. We all know it's coming, but if anybody can polish him up for WWE, it's Eric Young. And that's going to be a really fun program, and I think we're going to see a more physical side of Hendry, maybe a little more aggression. We'll go to NXT. It was a fun interaction between DIY, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa coming out to surprise Trick Williams and ultimately dropping him because Trick still thinks he's the biggest, fattest champion out. And they said, well, we've done everything you've done, but we've done it twice or 8 more times than you have. So, hold your horses. Honestly, I don't think Trick's ready. I don't think Trick's ready to get called up. I don't think he's the face even of this company. They've got to do a better job, or I think it's going to be a Mello thing where he's going to get up on the next level, which is not going to work. You're going to have to just keep digging. Xia Brookside from TNA coming in to face Candice LeRae, and this happening at NXT is interesting. But these two veterans, you should watch any match they're in. They absolutely know what they're doing. The only thing I don't like is it was part of the speed division, which means every match is like 3 minutes long. It's awful. It's a dumb concept. That's for people who can't wrestle for like 30 minutes at a time, like both of them can. Javon Evans and Briggs getting into it. That's kind of where they both are. They're kind of those next people up to the top tier of NXT, soon to be heavyweight contenders. So it makes sense that they'd have a program, and I think it's actually where Briggs needs to win. Javon necessarily doesn't to be considered a bigger guy, but they really like both of those guys, and it's a fun program so far. And then the tag champs being Dark State. I know so far that they haven't really defended them much, and if they do, it's the same two. I want to see the Freebird rule. There's 4 members of them. Any 2 of those 4 should be able to defend those at any time. I mean, let's do it on the same night. Let's have two of them do it at the beginning, two of them do it at the end. That would be fun. And that's a different wrinkle. That way they could defend it against multiple people, and you won't have to have like 15 people matches, like ones I just talked about. When you go to AEW, are the Death Riders expanding? I thought the Death Riders were about to like disperse, and it was just going to be Mox and Marina and a couple of those. Um, it kind of looks like maybe they've already added Gabe Kidd. Are they going to add Daniel Garcia? Or are they going to add Chris Statlander? If they do, the Death Riders are kind of back on it again. At least they're not like what WWE does with the Wyatts, where it's only the tag team that wrestle and the other three just interfere and just hang out. The Death Riders, they all show up, they show out, and they usually jump everybody in the ring. They come through the crowd. They do what Dark State is probably going to start doing soon. But if the Death Riders expand, I think that could be really good because it takes the pressure off of Mox to run the whole thing the way he's been doing. Also in last week's AEW programming, they had Mercedes Moné against Alex Windsor. This was a 4.5-star match. Two of the best in the business by far. Moné, everybody says, oh, she's second best in AEW. Is she? Honestly, she's more talented than Toni Storm. Toni Storm has better presentation. I would put it that way. They are 1A, 1B for sure. I want to see them square off again, but let it be later in the year. Alex Windsor looked really good in defeat here, but Moné and Storm are going to head for each other again very soon. I don't like FTR. I don't like what FTR is doing right now. It's just kind of boring and seems like about the same basic crap they'd always do, just worse. It's nice to see that he's going by Adam Copeland again and not Cope. We know him as Edge. It's nice to see him and Christian Cage together. We know Copeland's probably going to go till the end of the year, and him and Cena are going to quit about the same time. They're going to be done about the same time. If he didn't get injured last year, then he would be done already. But the fact that Cage is going to kind of ride it out to the end, even if he turns on him in the end, I'm just saying, Christian pulls a Christian in the end, wouldn't surprise me at all. It's good to see those two back together. And then finally, shout out to local prospect Adam Priest, who has had matches with FTR and has been on AEW programming for the last 2 weeks and has actually been kind of featured a little bit. So, he's been doing some stuff with 1FW. So shout out to 1FW and Adam Priest for getting on the big show and really showing out, young man. And that's going to do it for us this week. As I said, keep in mind, UFC, PFL, Bare Knuckle, and NWA all coming back either next week or very, very soon. We will continue talk of all the big ones as we just did there. We will recap the bullpen show. We will preview the premiere show. And we'll tell you about some other fun stuff happening here at Impact Media. But we've reached the end of the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys next time. Deuces, gooses. Go watch wrestling. Go watch fighting.